Thank you, Madam Chair. Admiral, I have the enviable position of being able to advocate parochially, but also in the national interest. And as you know, one of the principal concerns I have with this budget is the striking of a DDG from the multi-year procurement. Number one, it strikes me as a terrible precedent and signal to the American industrial base to reach a multi-year, which has already been assumed, contracted for, and moving forward. That would actually cost the government something like $30 million just to do that. You just were testifying about the need for a larger Navy and the shift toward China. The Pacific is a very big ocean, and naval power is our most important way of projecting power. So talk to me about the decision to cut that DDG, reach the multi-year, and I'll talk in a moment about the industrial base, but please share your thoughts.
Yes, sir. We have spoken before about this specific ship and what it brings. There are three principal things that come with this new ship: a new combat system, a new radar, and the ability to perform the role as the Air and Missile Defense Commander at a higher, more meaningful level because of the capabilities all those things
This is
bring.
the Flight 3.
The Flight 3, yes, sir. And so it is important. It was largely an affordability decision and a regret from the Navy that we could not afford that second ship.
And I take it, I think I understood that this is the highest priority on your unfunded priorities list. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
One of the problems we have, and I point this out with regard to Bath Iron Works, but I suspect this chart would work for Ingalls and other people. And what you see here is literally, this is a photograph of the industrial base. And these are the employees. And what happens is, at the end of the current multi-year, the industrial base disappears. Now, this is DDX. The problem we have is this trough, which is getting the industrial base from full construction of DDG Flight 3s to DDX, which isn't even designed yet. And the problem is, and I live 8 miles from this yard, you cannot turn on and off this capability. When welders leave and go somewhere else, they're gone. And so I urge the Navy to be thinking about this. And in fact, I believe we should restore that ship, but also talk about advanced procurement for 3 ships in '23 and beginning the process of a new multi-year. Because otherwise, the industrial base wastes away, and then you, as I say, you can't turn it off and on. Share with me your thoughts about the importance of maintaining the industrial base.
Yes, sir. I'll defer to Secretary Stephanie, but from my position, it's vitally important. We've done a lot of work over the last 4 years that I've been in the Pentagon looking at the number of shipyards over time, and the number has generally gone down, with the exception of Austal, which has been a plus up in the right direction. So I think you're spot on here. I do want to talk about a different...
The record show the witness just said I was spot on. I want that to be...
I do want to talk about a different mix of ships and go back to something Senator Hirono, I believe, brought up, in that this force composition is important. So distributed maritime operations means I distribute my force wildly, so more widely than I can now in a concentrated strike group-centric manner. So the idea that we're going to have less large surface combatants is bolstered by the idea that I have more frigates, which are roughly equivalent in combat capability from a sensor perspective and a combat systems perspective to a Flight 2 DDG today. So that composition of that force is what's going to be required to have distributed maritime operations.
But even as the frigates come online, you still see a role for the DDG.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I mean, that's the workhorse right now.
Well, I just want to double down. The DDG Flight 3 will have an unparalleled combat system and sensor capability. The rationale behind DDGX is to create a platform that can be modernized in the future, where we can add things like directed energy and other things. Because I'm going to be really challenged to do that on a Flight 3 DDG, because I've really used all that power to drive the radar and the sensors attendant to it now. So it's really a view to the future that I'm creating a platform that can be modernized.
Mr. Secretary, your thoughts on this issue?
Yeah, so Senator King, two things. One, in the near term, both Bath and Ingalls, as you point out, have come out of COVID, and they really are performing well. And I worry about breaking the momentum, right? There's a momentum thing. The workforces get their act together. Bath came out of that
Hired
strike.
1,000 people in the last year.
Right, and they've come out of that strike, and they're actually, both, our cost and schedule performance are much improved over the last couple of years. So I don't want to break that momentum. Going forward, yes, we, the Navy, absolutely want to do another multi-year procurement, very similar to the one we just did for 23 to 27. But then beyond that, we are working to feather in DDG 51 and DDGX so we don't get the stark, go from the light green to the dark green on your chart. There's a feathering that has to happen as a transition there. And we'll definitely show you our thoughts there and work with your staff on laying out that feathering approach, if that makes sense to you, sir.
It does, but part of it is continuing the momentum on the Flight 3s.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.